Hey, today we're going to share with you what to watch for when purchasing your caulk, something this old dog just learned after 40 years of caulking, and also some tips on how to caulk, what caulks to use, what to watch for. Be careful what you buy. But if you want to know how to caulk, please join me today. We're going to show you that, among other things. All right, please join us. All right, I'm caulking these windows today, and one thing I discovered, my day yesterday turned into a disaster. I was all done trimming out these windows, the end of my work week, and I got a bad tube of caulk. So one thing I've learned, and my cousin's been telling me this for a couple of years, squeeze the tube at the store. I returned to the store, and it wasn't this brand of caulk, it was Poly Seam Seal. And returned to the store, and I was upset. I said, you know what? It's 3:30, and I'm almost done with my day, and I got to go back to the store and return the caulks. And the tube that I had was hard, but I went back to the store and squeezed all the ones on the shelf, and they squished. They were squishy. So one thing I learned, I got to slow down. You're in a hurry at the store. Squeeze the tube before you purchase it. All right? Then also, I like these right here. Okay, also I like these right here, the squeeze tube. These are great, especially silicone. I like the silicone toilet to the floor. I'll link the spec to my other video, why you should caulk a toilet to the floor. Very controversial subject. I believe you should, all right? But I use silicone, all right? And with these tips, one thing I found at the stores, pull the tip off, all right? And make sure it's not cut when you purchase it. I actually bought a tube at one of the big box stores, and I got to the job site and the tip was already cut off. I was very upset. So people return stuff to the big box stores. They don't inspect it well. So really look at what you're buying. Make sure it wasn't something that somebody else returned, maybe bad. Maybe they left the caulk in the car and let it freeze. If you're in a northern state, if you're in Florida, somebody could leave the tube of caulk on the dashboard of their van, 118 degrees for 3 days, and bake that caulk. All right, so inspect your stuff. I got to learn, tell myself to slow down, inspect the product before you purchase it. No, you guys got a batch of old caulk. Here's some old caulk. It's not toolable. If you get a tube like this, now I went back to the store, it was squeezable. This is not how caulk should react. This is old caulk. Now, evidently, they've got some old caulk on the shelf at the store. I'm going to return back to the store. What a nightmare. Okay, so it turns out it wasn't old caulk. Caulk was made in August. It's now December. So who knows? Maybe the whole shipment froze. Who knows what's going on? But we're going to find out. Hopefully, I'll find out. I did contact Light Type. But stay tuned. I'm going to show you how to caulk. Anyhow. Okay, step one, caulking the window. First thing I like to do is take my little wipe, and I need to run this along and remove any dust or possibly oils, chemicals. If they're new windows, you could have a film oil on there from the factory. So I like to wipe them down at least once. Wipe down. All right, also best to have a good caulk gun. This is a good quality gun. I've had it for years, a dripless gun. And when you release a trigger, it doesn't keep pushing. The cheaper equipment you buy, just like a paintbrush, if you buy cheap equipment, it's gonna work cheap. Buy better quality tools, folks. My first tip, don't buy junk. The low price is there for a reason. It's junk. Cutting the tip, I notice they are using a more brittle plastic now. And if you try to cut the tip real quickly, sometimes it'll just come off crooked and crack, and you've got to actually take your time and do a slower cut. I got a little burr on there if you can see. I got a new phone, and I tell you what, it's a little blurry. You want a nice smooth cut. The angle is not as important as I said. The angle you hold the gun is what it's all about. You do whatever you prefer as far as angle goes. But get a smooth, clean cut. See, I got a little jag on there. I'm not liking it. I will get a cleaner, smooth cut. Sometimes you have to go real slow with the knife. Do a little test splooge. See? It's not pushing. It stopped pushing. This is a nice gun. Okay, caulking the window. I have cut my tip at a little bit of an angle. All right, the angle really isn't important. The angle you cut the tip, it's more important the angle you hold the gun. All right, if you hold the gun parallel with the angle which you have cut. My biggest thing is to make sure I put on my glasses so I don't make a spectacle of myself. Okay, so there's my angle, and I will take the angle and I will place it up in the corner. And the biggest thing I see guys do is they over pump. I know you got your gun in your hand. It's been a long time. Don't over pump. All right, here we go. We start going and you just carry. And as you can see, I'm just barely squeezing it. You don't do full trigger squeeze. Slow on the trigger pull. Don't pull the trigger too quick. And just gently let her glide along. And as you can see, you'll get a nice smooth bead. I'm doing this one-handed, so give me a little break. We'll make the turn. Here we go. Here we go on the run with a booger on a bun. There you go, baby. And we can twist her around and come back. All right, there you have it. And then a wet finger or the wet towel, whichever you prefer. Come back and tool it. We call this tooling. And what you're really doing here is you're also pushing it into the void so you get more of a 3-point contact. If you don't do this, you're not going to have the bond. You're not going to have the bond, the James Bond that you would have not tooling it. All right, so there you go. There you have it. Nice and smooth. It doesn't look like a third grader done it. Feel free, I'm using these right here, Clorox wipes. Feel free to use one of these. Take your finger and run it down and pick up any residue. Now, I do have a couple spots here where I missed. I'll go back over, hit that gently, and then we'll go one more time. You gotta do this in a timely manner though. You can't let this stuff dry out. Wipe it down. Get your excess off. You don't want buildup. Just like doing drywall mud work, you don't want a bunch of buildup. So here on one of the shallow areas, I've gone back and I re-caulked it, and I will re-finger it, retool it, and then run the bacteria wipe right back down again. There you go. So you have a nice smooth, I'll slow the camera down a little here, a nice smooth bead, not build up. Caulk should not be seen. Okay, now also you should caulk your 1/4-inch reveal. People want to know, why do you leave that reveal? Well, it's caulkable, all right? So there we have, we're holding it at the angle, and we are gonna start to pump it up, baby. And then just glide, not doing full triggers, gently squeezing it. Oh, I derailed. That's okay, you can derail. Make a little mess, it's okay. Get back on track, get back on the bicycle. And then you just simply take your finger and work it in, baby. Glide, there you go. You glide it along, and feel free to use the wipe. You go back and use a damp rag or a wipe. All right, you put a wipe on your finger if you don't like the feel, you don't want to get a splinter, you don't want to, maybe you got candy delicate fingers. You don't have to use your finger, you can use a wipe. And then just wipe it down a couple times. There you go, there you have it. Voila. No buildup. See, caulk should not be seen. It should just fill the void and have a smooth transition. All right, so just to go back over, remember, inspect your tubes before you buy them so you don't have to return to the job. Remember to do that. Squeeze your tubes. If the tube's hard, set it aside. don't buy it. All right. And then remember, always remember to pull the cap off. Make sure this stuff hasn't already been used with your little squeeze tubes. Pull off the cap. Make sure it hasn't already been purchased at the store. And remember, silicone. Another thing I want to talk about was siliconized. Some of these caulks will say they're siliconized. I was at a store the other day, and I said, hey, I want one of the little squeeze tubes with the clear silicone. I was in the plumbing aisle. And the guy was very good, very proficient at finding the plumbing parts. But he led me over to some plumber's caulk, and I said, that's not silicone. He goes, yeah, it is. Look, it says siliconized on the tube. And I said, I'm sorry, with all due respect, siliconized does not mean that it's silicone. Silicone, and I showed him, I said, see, on this tube it says water cleanup. I said, water cleanup is a guaranteed latex caulk. Silicone has to be cleaned up with mineral spirits or paint thinner, which is the same thing. So, just to let you know, be careful. Be careful. Do not get misled in believing that siliconized means it's silicone. It is not. And be careful where you use silicone. That's a whole nother video. Silicone is not a good exterior caulk. It's not paintable. You got to be careful where you use silicones. Siliconized just means it's probably like 2% siliconized. You can Google that. Google that, siliconized. In fact, I'll do that. Let's do that right now. We'll Google siliconized caulks. Let's see what it says. All right. Googled siliconized caulk. I Googled it. And it states that it is by no means nearly as good as silicone, but you would not want to use silicone on the inside of your windows or your outside. It's not paintable. It doesn't hold up well. Silicones are better for like on ceramic tile, fish tanks, stuff where you want total water immersion and you want to keep water out. I did recently silicone a laminate flooring to the bathtub area so that the water from the tubs can't get through, because I know kids don't wipe up puddles of water. I raised 4 kids. They don't wipe up puddles of water. You do want to use silicone at your bathroom floor. I like to set a tub. I'll lay a 1/4-inch bead of silicone and then press a piece of plastic shoe mold. Okay, and press that in there and tape it off and walk away for 24 hours and come back, because you don't want to nail down that. Sometimes you can't nail it down, ceramic tile and such. And then the water can't get through. You're guaranteed your kids will not have the water get through that plastic shoe mold and that silicone. 100% silicone, not siliconized caulk. 2 different animals, folks. Be aware. Right, so to wrap up this video, to tell you what happened, I ended up taking the caulk back to the store twice. Very frustrated because I couldn't wrap up my job. Went back the next morning, and I had a second bag tube of caulk. Turns out, called up Loctite, Polyseam Seal. They checked the dates on the tubes. The caulk's only 3 or 4 months old. So I don't know what happened. Still investigating. All they'll do is refund your money, which doesn't compensate me for all my lost time. I have had companies, I've had Kohler compensate me for a shipped bathtub that was overdue and cracked. They sent me a couple $100, even though the store told me they would not. I mean, never give up. I've had GoDaddy give me a $1,200 credit over some stuff that happened at GoDaddy. So, hey, you can get, I know mechanics out there that if they are given defective products and they install them, the manufacturers will give them a labor credit for their time lost. So don't always give up, but you know what? I'm not a big fan of Polyseam Seal. Don't think I'll use it again. I ended up finishing the job with some DAP caulk. But I hope that video helped you pick up some caulking tips. I've been caulking a long time. And caulking's not that bad. Just slow down and don't over pump. Cut your tip nice and clean. And hey, you can always tool it with a wet rag with the latex caulks. Latex caulks are easy. Once you get skillful, you can try some polyurethanes and some oils, which are a little more tricky to tool. That's another video. All right, thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, keep it a secret, but go tell a friend. Bubba's sharing home fixer tips around the world.